Welcome to Making Space For, the podcast where we embark on a journey to simplify, organize, and prioritize our lives. I'm your host, Paige Rabin, and each episode will explore the art of intentional living, helping you make room for what truly matters. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, it's easy to find ourselves surrounded by things that don't contribute to our happiness or well-being. Making Space For is your guide to decluttering not just your physical space, but also your mind and soul. We'll dive into practical tips on downsizing, right-sizing, and the transformative power of letting go. Whether you're starting a cluttered closet, pondering legacy planning, or seeking the elusive balance between work and self-care, this podcast is your sanctuary for inspiration and actionable insights. Join us as we feature experts, share personal stories, and explore the profound impact of intentional living. Together, we'll navigate the journey towards a simpler, more fulfilling life. One where you have more of what matters and less of what doesn't. So are you ready to make space for the life you've always wanted? Let's dive in. This is Making Space For. Well, before we dive into today's episode, a quick shout out to our flagship company, A Move Handled with Care. As Denver Metro's premier senior and specialty move management expert since 2007, we've mastered the art of downsizing, right-sizing, organizing, and every step in between. From packing and moving to unpacking and staging, our experienced staff represent all stages of life, offering a compassionate touch to what matters most to you. So, if you're looking to make a seamless transition while keeping what truly matters in focus, trust A Move Handled with Care. Visit us at amovehandledwithcare.com or on Facebook or LinkedIn to discover the difference. Let's continue making space for the life you deserve.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cierra Olmsted, and welcome to another episode of the Making Space For podcast. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with two remarkable guests from Christian Living Communities, Jill Vitale-Aussem, President and CEO, and Pam Sullivan, Vice President of Communications. Christian Living Communities is dedicated to providing a continuum of care that supports seniors through independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing, and memory care, ensuring they thrive in every stage of life. Jill and Pam bring a wealth of expertise and passion to their roles. Jill's visionary leadership guides CLC towards innovation and excellence in senior care, while Pam's fosters communications that amplifies CLC's mission of compassion and dignity within the community. Join us as we discuss what makes Christian Living Communities a cornerstone of senior living, their unique approach to life planning communities, and how they're shaping the future of senior care. This is Making Space For, Understanding a Life Plan Community. Okay. Well, I'm super excited to have you ladies on our podcast today. Pam Sullivan with Christian Living Communities and Jill Vitale-Aussem with Christian Living Communities as well. And ladies, let's just get it started.
Yeah, sounds good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. It's been a while. I know if you guys want to start and give us a little overview of Christian Living Communities and what your community is all about.
Sure. So we are a very proud 53-year-old nonprofit, Colorado proud nonprofit, and we have communities throughout the state. So we have a number of communities in the metro area that are what life plan communities or CCRCs, and we also have some assisted living communities. So we're in the metro area plus Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and Grand Junction. And we're a faith-based nonprofit. So our mission is all about ensuring everyone can experience Christian love, respect, and compassion. So sometimes people will be like, well, do you have to be Christian to live or work at CLC? And the answer is no. It's what our values are about, and our values tell us to welcome everyone, and that's exactly what we do.
We also have a home care agency called Rhythms Home Care that services the Denver metro area, and we offer consulting and management services as well. So we can help other senior living communities if they need a little support in one area, or if they want us to help manage the operations, we can do that as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
You guys offer such a wide variety of care. which a move handled with care has experienced in so many different manners. And also for me personally, since Jill used to be my boss, my director.
We used to work together.
We did. And I think, CLC, in my opinion, is really set apart from so many different communities. I think exactly what you said, Jill, just that Christian love. Like, you don't have to be Christian to be in your communities, but the love and the respect and the care that your residents receive that's what it is. Can you tell me a little bit more about not only that, but what truly does set you apart from other communities? Why would I, just even as an adult daughter, say, hey, this is where my parents need to be?
And we hear that so often. They're like, it just feels different. But being able to actually say what the difference is what we struggle with all the time. So it's really hard to put into words what sets us apart. One thing we've been working on a lot is something that Jill stumbled on and has helped us put together a lot, is called the CLC citizenship model of community living. So we approach from a purpose-based living approach rather than service. Don't get me wrong, we have amenities, we do provide wonderful services, but we really try and look at the continuity of life and the continuity of purpose at every level of living in our communities. Jill, you kind of coined this whole thing, so tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that can happen in this field and in senior living communities is that we think of communities as cruise ships or hotels, and we are here to serve, which is great. And like Pam said, we do provide great services and amenities, but that really undermines really what we all need as human beings, which is we need a reason to get up in the morning. We need to have value in this world, and the older we get, the more we have to give back. Mm-hmm. And so we really create environments where people, we support people in finding what is that purpose? What are they going to give back to the community? We actually ask people when they're coming in, what gifts and passions do you want to bring to this community? And then the other thing is, how do you want to grow? Like, we don't just look at you are who you were in the past, mm-hmm. right? We continue to grow and evolve as we age. And I think that whole environment that's really focused on people caring about each other, people seeking to learn and become even more, and that applies to our team members and residents as well as the residents, it creates this really cool culture. And it's what Pam said, that you can't put a name on it when you walk in the community.
It's really hard.
I'd say it's community.
It is
real community.
Mm-hmm. And that's why our name, years and years ago, we were a Christian Living campus. And I remember I was driving by one of our communities before I started working here, and I'm like, well, where are all the college kids? And it didn't really convey what we really were about. Right. But the word communities really conveys what we're really about. So we moved to that word, I think 20 years ago or something like that. And I think what's also really interesting is seeing this play out. It's nice to talk about it, but example, we had a gentleman who was just a high-powered, career guy who always had wanted to explore pottery. Never had the chance, and now was his chance. We had a pottery wheel at one of the communities, and he learned pottery, and it brought him such joy and purpose. And then he put it into the art gallery on display there. We also have people who maybe had a passion, but careers and providing for families takes over, and now they're able to re-explore it. So there's a lot of stories like that, or people trying things for the very first time. So it's really a cool thing. The other piece of it that's really important is it's not just about residents and community, but it's the team members. Mm-hmm. And Jill's really good about saying you have to be able to give and receive care. So as team member, it's not about just what I do for the residents. Allowing the residents to care about me and to share about me and to be your authentic self at work too. So it's really that whole community spirit.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I think the nonprofit side really ties into this too. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean we don't have to run a strong business, because we do, to make sure we're here and can continue to do what we do. Right. But anything that is generated, what we generate in profit, goes back into the organization, right? And that changes things, the way you think about what you do, right? Mm-hmm. It's everything that we do is to make our organization stronger or better. It's not to pull more money out of the organization. And that really keeps our focus on the people that live and work at Christian Living communities.
Right. Which that's fairly rare, because majority of senior living in Colorado is for profit. There's not, do you know exactly how many other nonprofits? Because it's got to be fairly
It's not
small.
a huge amount, I think, so don't anybody out there quote me on this, but I think it was like 10% of senior living in Colorado is nonprofit, and it's a much smaller percentage than some other states. And there are good for-profits out there. We definitely,
100%.
we have a lot of colleagues that we have a lot of respect for. It's just we're in business for a different reason, right?
Right. Which I think, and going back to the point of your residents and kind of finding that purpose, I know like at Summer and Glen, you guys have that great word, the woodworking shop.
Yes.
And so we move a lot of residents in there who we love when we can walk into their house and they have the whole woodworking shop, and we can say, well, we're not going to move this because A, it's not going to fit in your apartment, but B, you're going to Summer and Glen, so you'll just already have it there. And I love that you guys go really above and beyond in that manner to be able to provide, like you have at Holly Creek, the radio station, and just
Claremont Park, the art studio.
Yes.
Where there's some, I was talking to an artist that lives at Claremont Park, and he got a 2-bedroom and 1 room is his studio. But there are a lot of residents a lot of people that live there that are like, this is my art studio. And so it's a shared space, and there's,
Right.
So you have like a whole big
But what's
home.
really important to remember is all of those came about because residents told us that they wanted to do that.
Right.
At Holly Creek, the radio station came about because a resident brought his radio equipment with him and wanted to set up and do this for the community.
I love that.
So that was such a wonderful way for him to give back to his neighbors and provide purpose for others. So those aren't things that we, as the leadership of the organization, said, well, we've got to have a woodworking shop at one community, a radio station at another, and an art studio. That was all driven from what residents requested and wanted to do.
Right.
So it's really
and
important.
that's a really good point, right? It's person directed. It's driven. What the community is created by the people who live and work there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And can you guys speak a little bit about, obviously, a lot of these things everyone in the community has access to, right? But what are the different levels of care that you provide? You know, what exactly, when you say CCRC, continuing care, retirement community, or life plan community, I know is the new
buzzword.
buzzword. So like, what exactly does that mean, and how does CLC foster that?
Well, so we we support people whatever their needs are, really, right? We've got residential living, also called independent living, and in those settings, people. None of us are really independent, though, are we? Right? No. So none of us are, right? We all depend on each other. But the folks that live in residential living, you have an apartment home. Like my dad lives in residential living at one of our communities, and there are meals offered. There's housekeeping in some of the options in some of the communities. You've got all anything you could ever want to do in terms of community life that's going on there. And so you have all those supportive services. The resident services coordinator who can help you think about care and what's needed. And on the life plan campuses, we also have assisted living, which is when people need a bit more support with the activities of daily living. Memory support neighborhoods, when folks are maybe living with dementia or cognitive changes, and then skilled nursing. And in that area, you're needing more care, either long-term or short-term rehab, right? Where you go to the hospital, maybe you have a hip replacement, and you need to go for short-term rehab, and you can do it all right there, and get outpatient physical therapy when you need that. And so we have clinics, primary care clinics in those communities. So as the daughter of someone who lives in a continuum campus, I can tell you when my mom and dad were looking at this, it was really important to them to know we've chosen this whole community, and if we ever need anything, it's here. Right. And for a family member, what a gift that you don't have to think, oh my gosh, if my mom or dad needs more support, I'm going to have to go find a new community. Or if they go to the hospital and need short-term rehab, I have to go on this big search again. They're right there. And now their friends are right there. And recovery is so much better when the people that you care about are close by.
And I can talk to that from the other side. I was the out-of-state daughter-in-law. And where my mother-in-law lived, they didn't have continuing care retirement communities. So she moved to an assisted living community, and then her dementia progressed. So we had to move her out of there to a memory support. The memory support we moved her to wasn't able to help her in her later stages of her dementia journey, so we had to move her again. So 3 moves for just assisted living and memory support. So that's why the continuing care is such a gift. It is a gift to your family to make that plan for yourself. The other thing I want to clarify is a lot of people think senior living or they think assisted living and automatically think skilled nursing. They think of those nursing homes they visited their grandma in when they were a kid, and that's not what senior living is about mostly in this country today. There are still places like that in pockets. I don't know many here in Colorado, but assisted living is just help with those skills of daily living. It's not as much of assistance as you would think as skilled nursing is. Skilled nursing is 24-hour skilled care. There's a nurse on duty all the time. And I think a lot of people, I would just urge you when you're thinking about needing care services for yourself or your loved one, really understand the difference between what independent living is, which is essentially just making a community your home and all those wonderful things are under one roof. But it's much like living in your own home that you raised your family in. And then assisted living is that skills with daily living, and then skilled nursing is more intensive oversight and care. And there really is a difference. And I think people get lost in, well, I don't understand what that means.
Right. And if you talk to, call one of our communities, our team can help talk that through with people. And we do that a lot. What is it exactly that you need? I think the other thing that's really cool about our communities that have the different levels of care or levels of living is even though people might live in a different neighborhood to get support, we work really hard, and the folks that live in the communities work really hard to make sure there's inclusion. And so if you go to like Claremont Park, you're going to see people who live in skilled nursing, hanging out with people who live in residential living, and people who are living in memory support, and people come together. They're not defined. And one of our coworkers used to say years ago, we don't define people by their care needs. We honor people for who they are, and people come together because of what they're interested in and what brings people together.
Right. I love that.
I think one other thing that's important to note is we're dedicated to the continuum in that, and we do have standalone assisted living communities and things like that. We also, as our nonprofit mission, are committed to offering different financial options too. So we do in some of our communities have HUD housing.
That's right.
We do in some of our communities have assisted living Medicaid. 2 of our communities, Pueblo and North Denver. And then also in skilled nursing at 2 of our communities, we offer Medicaid and skilled nursing. And it is a little tricky to manage all that, but we're very committed to, as we have the continuum of different care levels and services, we serve people along the whole financial continuum. We have wonderful, unabashedly, somewhat luxurious apartment homes, and great amenities in some of our communities. People need services and care no matter what their ability, financial situation is. And so we try to offer that to everyone along the financial continuum as well. Right. It's something that we continually discuss because it's a difficult thing to find the balancing act, but it's something we're committed to as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. And I think, that model, to your point, Pam, my grandmother, we had a similar situation where she was in assisted living, and we ended up moving her to Claremont Park for skilled. And while it was a great transition for her, it was very confusing, right? She was already confused. And so now she's in a new room, new people, new faces. And so there's so much to, as we age, whether you have cognitive decline or not, just keeping things somewhat consistent. We start to slow down in our older years of life, and it's harder to go to that change, right? We all know that as we get older, we kind of get set in our ways a little bit more, even with who's coming to deliver, your mail or your newspaper or whatever it may be.
Well, we all want to be with what's familiar, right? People we know and we trust. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And I think that's where, a move handled with care comes in so well to just help transition people into your community. From your perspective, how do you guys feel, or what do you see as far as having a move manager come in and help people transition into those communities? I mean, we see it on, a different level. And this is what's so cool is that since I worked in marketing Claremont, I saw that side of it, which I feel like gave us such a leg up to be able to see the other side of the chaos. You know, we're coming from the big house. We have to let go of so much. We have to deal with those emotions. And now we're moving someone in, and we also have the emotions of a next chapter in their life. And I think there's a lot. And so if you could speak a little bit to just how does that help? How does that transition help? And I know, obviously, Jill, we have a personal connection as well as when we moved your parents.
Yeah. Well, I would say, my parents moved from out of state. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they worked with you and your team, and you coordinated with the team in New York that was helping to get everything ready to go, and then really helped get them settled in, that gives such a gift to the people that are moving in. I know Pam's got some specific information from some of our team members who work really closely with residents when they move in about what that process is like. Because, I think about moving and it can be paralyzing. Mm-hmm. Getting the stuff out of your house, first downsizing, what do I get rid of? What do I keep? Then getting everything into a truck, then getting into a new place. And then where am I going to put all this stuff and getting settled in? It's paralyzing.
Right.
You want to sit in the middle of the floor and just go, somebody help me. And that's what you do, right?
Right.
And you get people set up so that they're in charge, right? But you help get them set up in a way that then they can easily transition into there's always a harder transition, right, with that move, but you make it so much easier for them. And I know Pam wanted to share some
I asked
specifically
our teams at Holly Creek and Claremont Park, who work with you all the time. And what really was the main theme is you're setting that older adult up for a better community life experience when you have a move manager handle it, because it's a chaotic process in the first place. But that actual day, they're in this new fabulous place with all these new neighbors. And if they're having to set up their whole apartment home, they're missing out on making some connections. But with a move manager, you guys come in, you handle it, you set up their apartment, you unpack everything. They literally can still make dinner at 5:00 and meet their new neighbors and actually sleep that night instead of, just being completely wiped out and in pain. I think it could be detrimental to somebody's health at some point in time, trying to handle everything that goes into a move. So I think having a move manager sets the older adult up for a better first day experience in their new chosen home, and with a chance to meet their new neighbors. Both communities talked about how people who have a move manager as opposed to don't have a move manager engage with community life quicker than those who don't. And that's because they have the time. They have the freedom because that burden was lifted off of them. I also think that we're in that stage where we're the adult children. Right. And I think it preserves a relationship because so much, I can tell you as somebody who works full time, and the idea of moving my parent, and I've done it, it's a lot of work, and it puts a lot of stress on your adult child too. So I think it preserves the relationship of the parent-child, and it's a kind thing to do.
Right.
So it doesn't all fall
and
to
let
the
alone
child.
going through with your parents and saying, what should we keep? What should we get rid of? That's a lot. But having somebody come in who's skilled and experienced and knows how to do this, that's a relationship preserver too.
Well, and I would be interested in hearing from you. That's a tough little dance to do. How do you work around the emotion of, oh my gosh, I still have little Timmy's second grade project, and do I move that into my community? How do you work around that?
Well, I will say, so one thing on that is it's always funny because Paige and I we will move our family members. We've done it. And literally the phone call right after is, next time you get to move my family member and I will move your family member, because it is, right? It's not our own. Moving is the worst thing ever. I don't want to move myself, but I'll move everyone else all day long. And that is those downsizing piece. And this is where we feel like we should have a degree in therapy at this point in our careers.
You probably earned one. It's probably one of those, honorary degrees.
Yep. But I think the thing that we really strive for us as owners, but that we have passed down in our culture is that, sometimes we just have to let it go with clients. Okay, if you want to bring all of your children's artwork from kindergarten and now they're, 40, 50 years old, we'll find a closet for it. And you have to remember, we love to go into a community, set up their apartment, make it clean and organized and pretty, but not everybody lives that way. Right. And so we also have to take into respect, like someone who lives in chaos and clutter, we're not going to move and set up pretty and beautiful and it's going to stay that way. They've always lived in chaos and clutter. And so it's okay if things are a little bit more clutter and we are kind of shoving stuff into those cabinets and closets. And, then we have the dream clients and it's usually the men, have been widowed who just take like a chair and a TV and a side table and you're like, this is great. But that's a big part. And I think, Jill, like you said, they call the shots.
Yes.
We are here to serve our clients, and it's not, we're going to do what we want to do. It's you tell us what you want.
Right.
But then we will also have those hard conversations like, hey, this furniture is not going to fit. I can tell you that right now. If you would like for us to take it, I'm just warning you. Yeah. Here's what will happen. So we at least
inform people. So my mom's nickname was Marge in Charge, and she worked very well with you all because you knew she was in charge, right?
Exactly.
And you were there to support.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so it's that. It's like, like you guys were saying in the beginning, is you listen to the residents. Like, it is not running a business where, this is what people do in our community. It's like, no, how can we serve our residents?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it works so well between our two companies is because we both come from that same philosophy. It would just not work with the people that are attracted to our communities to give them a checklist and say, do all of this and we'll be back in 2 days and help you with that. That would not work.
Right.
I mean, it's a very relationship business, and having partners who are relationship based is so important because we don't want to be that cold calculating, this is the checklist, you have to fit this. I mean, there are rules and regulations and things like that we all have to comply with, but
100%.
But we are here to serve people, and people are a little bit messy.
And everybody's so different, right?
Yeah.
And it's being adaptive like you all are to help people on that journey when everybody's so different.
Right. Well, and I think too, that transition, one thing we take pride in is knowing your communities, understanding your communities. We know these are the doors that we can use. These are the doors we do not use, because at the end of the day, everybody else, it's their home. Yep. And just like your home, you don't want someone trudging through your front door and tracking whatever in. And so it's communicating with your marketing directors and making sure, hey, we know the backstory a little bit ahead of time. Like, this is a really tough move, mom's this or dad's this, or the adult daughter, we got to tread lightly. And
that's
I think
probably what they said about me. That adult daughter,
Jill.
But
having
you
those,
call yourself the helicopter daughter.
I am. I'm a helicopter daughter. Yes, I am.
That's okay. That's what they've done so well. But I think building those relationships and having these relationships, and we really appreciate how much, because we love that when we walk into your communities, we literally are going down the hall and going, hi, Bob, hi, Sue, hi, and we're saying hi to all the people we've moved in. And then, if they do go to higher levels of care, we're able to transition them, and there's a familiarity. I mean, I think there's people in your communities we've moved 4 or 5 times, just, from a cottage to inside the building to assisted living to memory care to skilled or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Well, and you bring up an interesting point, and this is what one of our team members brought up, is the move out. At the end of life, that can be really difficult on a family.
Yep.
And you've received a couple of those calls to help people move out. What's that like?
That's always a really tough one for us. And it usually is. It depends on the client, right? Because we've built these relationships with people too. And so when we hear someone has passed away, it really is like,
it's very hard.
It's like losing a grandparent for us.
It is for us too.
And I know for you guys too. And it's, we love the ones where, the families kind of come in and can take what they take, and then we end up moving discarding items. And we do a lot of that with our junk removal company, who we use, who's great. And they'll come and kind of do it in bulk and stuff, or we'll pack stuff. But it's definitely, it's a hard one.
Yeah.
It really is. Because
and you don't think of that at the front, right? I didn't even think of until she.
I never thought of that
either.
either.
She responded.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't even know we used a move handled with care that way. So I think that's something to really kind of put in your back pocket if you're engaging with somebody, because
right.
You're so excited about the front end move, but inevitably there might be that move at the end of life. And I think having a partner, because I can imagine the grief families are going through at that point in time, the last thing they want to do is pack up, the apartment home or the skilled nursing suite and go from there. So.
Right. And we do. And I think that's the other part, is a lot of times those phone calls are repeat clients. And so we have that familiarity,
Right.
and the families trust us and already know that, hey, they're going to come in, they're going to take care of it. We don't have to worry about it,
and handle it all with deep respect. And
exactly.
Yeah, you cared about the person too, right?
Right.
And that matters.
Right. You know, we all kind of have like a moment with each other, and, and I will say I like it in the sense because it keeps tabs on our clients. Like, okay, so and-so did pass away, or, oh, when is their funeral service? I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've come to services at your communities or at their church, just to pay our own respect.
Right.
And, that is how much we're invested in people, and we kind of keep saying it. I think you guys are the same, because I know your staff, they become family to your staff as well.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that whole and understanding the continuum of life, that's something that we really do a lot of, is respecting the person, who they were, who they are now, how they can grow, and then making sure we honor and respect somebody as they leave our communities. It's not a secret. We really want to make sure people are honored and respected the whole time they're with us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you said it's been 52 years. No,
53.
53 years. Okay. So how, obviously that's evolved. I remember the first board members, from the campus days, the founders of the campus days.
Yes.
So how do you guys find, that you evolve in the senior living world? Because it, like you said, what our parents probably thought of as nursing homes, like, I don't want to go to the nursing home. That's where you go, and no one ever comes and visits. And, how else do you guys feel you've evolved and you've helped kind of maybe trend set a little bit of the senior world? Or
Well, it's so funny because our organization has been trendsetters since day one. So when we built our first nursing home, we made sure everybody had a window. We still have senior skilled nursing communities in Colorado right now where not every person in a skilled nursing has a window to look out.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all over the country. In some places, there's 2 and 3 people in.
Yeah, it's like they're
like a
skilled
hospital.
nursing communities were modeled after hospitals. Hospitals were short-term care, but we built our long-term care after to look like them. So our founders were kind and generous enough to say, you know what, everyone deserves a window to look out. They may have a shared room, but we had a wall, a half wall, and a window for each person. So we've been kind of, setting trends and kind of bucking the system a little.
Since the 1970s.
Since the 1970s.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's kind of in our blood a little bit, but I think what I saw, and I've been with the organization now for 20 years, what I really saw was this advent of getting rid of paternalistic practices and institutional practices. And Jill was a huge part of that when she was the executive director at Claremont Park, and that's when you were there as well.
Right.
But moving away from that whole hospital-like process, and nothing against hospitals, don't get me wrong. They're lovely. We need them.
But no one wants to live in
But
one
no
for
one
years.
wants to live
Right.
in one.
Let's be
Right,
honest.
right.
Yes.
So to me, I think that was a huge shift that I saw in the time I've been working in senior living. But I think that's continual going.
Yeah, it's and really that approach to seeing people as citizens, not helpless customers as we get older. It's a big part of our work to change the way we think about aging. And then when you really start to say, what does it mean to be a citizen of this community? It changes the way people think, and it changes the way people behave. And I'll give you a little example. This is a recent example that I love. So one of our communities, that is an assisted living community that has Medicaid. So they've got really tight budgets, right? And you've got a whole bunch of people that live there with skills and the need to be of service. And there's a men's group there, and they have started, so they've taken over all the gardening and planting on the campus.
Wow.
The guys, and there could be women if they wanted to do this too, but the men who want to, they're helping to paint apartments when it's ready to be turned over, right? And so there's this incredible, like, I'm working with the team to make my community better and to help make this a nice place for the next person that moves in. And I think about the future of, is there more opportunity for things like that where we could potentially keep costs down and keep senior living more affordable?
Right.
Not everybody's going to want to do those things, and that's great. But I think we are getting to a place where everybody sees I have gifts and I can play a meaningful role in this community. Mm-hmm. It could be something little, like somebody who takes the time to listen to a friend or, support somebody who's going through a hard time. It can be big things that people do. So I see it really as continuing the evolution and I think real innovation in culture doesn't come from Pam and me and our COO, and it comes from creating an environment where we can bring out the best in other people, right? And have communities say together, we're going to do this and we're going to make this happen. That's how the radio station happened, right? That's an example. That's how all of these great things that are happening in the communities, that's how it occurs. And what I've seen is sometimes people that struggle a bit and maybe aren't the nicest to be around at times, which as we get older, nobody's perfect, right? And we are who we are. Right. Sometimes if we are lacking that this world needs me, or if we're lacking that knowledge that I can make this a better place and I have a reason to get up in the morning, people can get really kind of depressed. Mm-hmm. And so I've seen people, when they find what their purpose is, like, they become different people. And so it's a continued evolution of that. And then we know those things keep people healthy. Mm-hmm. Purpose, community, growth and learning, age positivity, that leads to a longer, healthier life.
Right.
So, and I really want to go back to the point she made that men's group is in our assisted living Medicaid. It's 80% Medicaid.
Right.
So these are
6%.
people. Yeah.
Is a lot.
Yeah. These are people who societally may be marginalized.
Right.
But if we create the environment where they're needed, they're wanted, they have purpose, they're valued, things happen. And so it's what I love about this approach is it's income agnostic. It is very much just a human condition, and that you need these basic things, and everyone can do it no matter what their living situation is.
Right.
I think that's really important to really kind of tune into, that we get so caught up into the nicer places or whatever. Nothing against the nicer places. We have lovely places. All of our places, this can be true, that you can have a purpose-filled life and that you can find a really engaging culture, and people are valued there.
Right.
No matter what the situation is.
Yeah. I love that, because that really shows there is no price tag on the human experience and life, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you could have had a very successful career and have a lot of money in the bank, or you could have had a very successful career, but you don't have a lot of money in the bank. It doesn't matter. Everyone's life is different and everyone's path and trajectory is different, but you can still be able to, as a human, get the love and respect and care that you are entitled to as a human.
Right.
And share the gifts that we all have
and share
with
those.
Other people.
Yeah.
Like your gift of organization.
Yes.
I love you.
Yes.
Well, I always say, people always go, oh, well, your house must be so organized. And I go, well, I have roommates, my husband and my children who don't always respect my organization. So I keep my little area I can control organized. But
isn't that the truth? Honest to gosh, I could go on about everything you find in the kitchen, a different place.
Right.
I'm like, okay.
Exactly.
That's what my husband says about me, because I'm the messy one and he's the organized one. So
right. But that's where you let go and you realize too that, not everybody, our clients are going to want to have that organized like we talked about and everything. And it's just meeting people where they're at and, who they are kind of situation.
Yeah. Well, thanks for all that you do. It's such an important service. It really is.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for such a strong partnership in your relationship.
Oh, yeah.
And as we kind of tie things out, is there anything that you guys feel that you guys want to say or Anything else about
I
your
wanted
amazing
to
communities?
So I was listening to, so we have a podcast too.
Yes.
Aging Unscripted. And I was listening to one of the podcasts that Pam and I weren't on, and it was our executive director of chaplain services talking with a woman who is a spiritual director person. She lives at Claremont Park. Her name's Jane.
Park. She worked at Isla Theology. Yeah.
And so one of the things that she said, I was listening to that podcast, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so much wisdom. It's Aging as a Spiritual Practice is the name of the episode. And she talked about how as you move through life and you change the lens of things, especially as you get older, that asking for help, you need to consider that you're giving someone else a gift of being of service to you. And we're so hesitant to say, I need some assistance from Cierra and her team for this move, or I could use moving into a community where I'm going to have this support, because we have this like idea that we're all independent, and if you need somebody, that's bad. And it isn't. And just remembering that when you say, I could use a little help, you're giving something to somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
yeah,
I just was so taken with her insights on all of that.
Well, and if you subscribe to that whole love language thing,
there's
a lot of people who that's their love language. It's an act of service to you. And if we cut them off from being able to do that, then we're cutting off them showing how much they love and care about us.
Yep.
So,
Right.
So we all need support and assistance. I don't care how old we are. We all need each other.
Exactly.
So as we get older, there's Dr. Bill Thomas, who was the founder of the Eden Alternative, says aging is a team sport. And it really is. And living is a team sport. So we need people like you and your team, and we need each other as we live and grow older.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. And what's the name of your podcast again?
Aging Unscripted.
Aging Unscripted. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that one that you were just
That
talking
wraps
about
up another
dropped
inspiring
yesterday.
episode of the Making Space
We'll have to
podcast.
go good.
A huge thank you
sounds
to
like
our
a really
incredible
good
guests
one.
and to you, our
Well,
cherished
thank you,
listeners.
ladies.
Well,
Your
thanks so
journey
much.
to intentional living
It's
really
like
appreciate
talking
a
to
small
an old
step,
friend.
and
It
we're
is.
honored to
Because
be a
you
part
are.
of it. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please consider liking,
you so much.
subscribing, and rating our podcast on your favorite platform. Before we part ways, a friendly reminder, if you're embarking on a move or seeking expert guidance in downsizing, remember A Move Handled with Care in Denver. With over 15 years of experience in senior and specialty move management, we're here to transform your transition into a seamless, stress-free experience. Visit amovehandledwithcare.com for more information, and let's continue making space for the life you've always wanted. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep making space for what matters most.